was incredibly disappointing. The challenge, we have got to change our challenge rules, and the officials doing the game should have a third. That was not a foul.
After she gets the ball and kind of travels, then it looks like this Liberty player is going straight up with it. Elena Smith is not touching her at all. She has two fingers that look like slightly tapping the ball. Her body isn't touching Breanna Stewart. Her arm isn't touching Breanna Stewart. There was clearly zero contact here.
Did the refs just steal a championship? That's what Lynx coach Cheryl Reeve is saying after the Wild WNBA finals. Picture this, Game 5 overtime and a foul call that has everyone talking. LeBron James even chimed in, saying it should have been a no call. But here's the thing, it's not just about one call. We're diving into all the drama, from the questionable officiating to the salary cap scandal that's got fans fired up. You won't believe how deep this rabbit hole goes. Ready to see why Reeve says that's so it was stolen, and decide for yourself? Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now, back to the video. Picture this, 5.2 seconds left on the clock, Lynx up by 2, and suddenly, a whistle blows. The entire arena holds its breath. That's the moment that changed everything in Game 5 of the WNBA Finals. Let's break it down.
Last night's WNBA Finals game was absolutely rigged, and there is so much proof. What a terrible way to end this WNBA season. Breanna Stewart gets the ball here. She turns around and kind of just chucks it up to the basket. So this was called a foul. LeBron James tweeted, he said, "I'm sorry, but that wasn't a foul. Let the damn players dictate the outcome of a close, battled, tested game."
Alana Smith of the Lynx is guarding Sabrina Ionescu of the Liberty. Ionescu goes up for a three-pointer and Smith contests. There's contact, but how much? The ref blows the whistle, and suddenly the Lynx's lead is in jeopardy. This call was huge for both teams. For the Lynx, it was the difference between winning the championship right then and there or heading to overtime. For the Liberty, it was a lifeline, a chance to stay alive and keep their championship dreams going. The tension in the arena was through the roof. You know, this reminds me of other controversial calls in sports history. Remember the tuck rule in the 2002 NFL playoffs, or the infamous hand of God goal in the 1986 World Cup? These are the moments that fans talk about for years, and this foul call might just join that list. But was it the right call? That's where things get really interesting.
But when you challenge something and you challenge a play that basically has the power to change the outcome of arguably the most important game, but here is the reasoning as to why they didn't overturn this foul. So this is what the ref said.
Breanna Smith is not in a legal guarding position. Therefore, Stewart will be shooting 2 free throws, and Minnesota will lose their timeout.
After seeing not only the travel that came before it, but then also the no contact when she went up with the ball, like, it's crazy.
I talked to some officiating experts, and they're split. Some say there was enough contact to warrant a foul, especially in such a crucial moment. Others argue that in the final seconds of a championship game, you've got to let the players decide it unless there's a clear and obvious foul. Now, imagine if the call went the other way. If the ref swallowed the whistle, we'd be talking about a Lynx championship right now. The entire complexion of the WNBA would be different. That's how much was riding on this one whistle. You want to know how big this call was? Even LeBron James weighed in. He tweeted, "That was not a foul. Hell of a game, though."
That isn't called often, not in legal guarding position. And the funniest thing is that the commentators that were calling this game didn't even go into detail and talk about like what that actually means. So obviously the game went into overtime and the Liberty came out with the victory and they won their first championship ever in the history of Liberty basketball. Damian Lillard said, "The refs called this game like they knew the assignment in the second half. Boy, great game." And then Isaiah Thomas tweeted, "They low-key cheated for New York, but I get it, LOL."
When you've got the NBA's biggest star chiming in on a WNBA game, you know it's a big deal. LeBron's tweet was just the tip of the iceberg. While fans were debating online, Cheryl Reeve was about to unleash a tirade that would make headlines across the sports world. What could make a four-time championship-winning coach risk her reputation and possibly her job? Imagine being Cheryl Reeve on a sideline. The whistle blows, and you see your championship dreams potentially slipping away. Reeve's face said it all: shock, disbelief, and then pure fury. She was pacing, gesticulating wildly, her face turning redder by the second. This wasn't just another game for her. This was everything she and her team had worked for all season. You gotta understand, Reeve isn't just any coach. She's led the Lynx to 4 WNBA championships. She's been named Coach of the Year twice. She knows what it takes to win at the highest level. So when she says something's off, people listen. And boy, did she have something to say after this game. In her post-game press conference, Reeve didn't hold back. She flat out said, "That shot was stolen." Can you believe that? A coach of her caliber using language like that in front of the media? But she wasn't done. Reeve went on to say, "It's not fair to our players. It's not fair to our fans. We need a third party to review these calls." Now, let's break down what Reeve's saying here. She's not just complaining about one bad call. She's questioning the integrity of the entire game. When a coach uses the word stolen, that's a big deal. She's essentially accusing the refs of bias, of taking the game away from her team. That's the kind of accusation that can change careers and reshape leagues. But here's where it gets really interesting. Reeve didn't stop at criticizing the refs. She called for systemic change. That bit about needing a third party to review calls, that's huge. She's saying the current system isn't working, that there needs to be more accountability. And coming from a coach with her track record, those words carry weight. So what happens now? The ball's in the WNBA's court. They've got a decorated coach essentially accusing them of rigging a championship game. That's not something they can ignore. But how will they respond? Will they fine Reeve for her comments? Will they look into her suggestions for improving the review system? Or will they try to sweep this under the rug and hope it blows over? Here's the thing. This isn't the first time a coach has criticized refs after a big game. Back in 2016, Reeve herself got fined for comments about officiating in the finals. And just last year, Las Vegas Aces coach Becky Hammon got hit with a $25,000 fine for criticizing refs during the playoffs. So there's definitely precedent for the league to come down hard on Reeve. Fines for criticizing refs are nothing new, but what if there's more to Reeve's outburst than just sour grapes? The free throw disparity in this game wasn't just big, it was game-changing. And when you see the numbers, you might start wondering if Reeve has a point. Let's break down these crazy free throw numbers. The Liberty shot 25 free throws. The Lynx, just 8. That's not a typo. We're talking about a championship game here, and one team got more than 3 times as many free throw attempts as the other. That's insane. Now, you might be thinking maybe the Liberty were just more aggressive, drawing more fouls. But here's the thing. The Lynx weren't playing patty cake out there. They were fighting for a championship, going hard to the basket, battling for every rebound. So why the huge gap? Let's talk about Nafisa Collier for a second. This is a player who finished second in MVP voting. She's a force on the court, always in the thick of the action. You know how many free throws she shot in this game? 0. Zilch. Nada. And it's not like she was camping out on the perimeter. Collier put up 23 shots, many of them in the paint. How does a star player not get to the line even once in the biggest game of the year? Now, let's look at how these free throws impacted the game. The Liberty made 21 of their 25 attempts. That's 84% accuracy, giving them 21 points from the line. The Lynx, they hit 7 of their 8, which is actually a better percentage at 87.5%, but only got 7 points total from free throws. In a game that went to overtime, those 14 extra points from the line for the Liberty were huge. You're probably wondering, is this normal for WNBA finals games? The short answer is no. While there's always some variation in free throw attempts, disparities this large are pretty rare, especially in championship games. Typically, you might see a difference of 5 or 6 attempts between teams, not 17. And get this, it's not just the WNBA where this kind of thing raises eyebrows. In other sports like the NBA and NFL, we've seen similar controversies in big games. Remember the 2006 NBA Finals when Dwayne Wade seemed to live at the free throw line? or the countless NFL playoff games where fans swear the refs favored one team. It's always a hot topic when championships are on the line. While refs and free throws grab headlines, there's another story bubbling beneath the surface. Remember when the Liberty got slapped with fines for violating the salary cap? That's just the tip of the iceberg. What if I told you their entire championship run might be tainted by financial foul play? Let's break down the WNBA salary cap situation. It's pretty simple. Each team has a limit on how much they can spend on player salaries. This cap is meant to keep things fair, making sure rich teams can't just buy all the best players. It's supposed to keep the league competitive and give every team a shot at success. But here's where things get wild with the Liberty. Back in 2023, they got hit with a $500,000 fine. Why? They were caught providing under-the-table travel benefits to players. That's a big no-no in the WNBA. The league takes this stuff seriously because it gives teams an unfair advantage in attracting and keeping top talent. Now, you're probably wondering how the Liberty built their super team if they got caught breaking the rules. Well, they got creative. They managed to sign big names like Brianna Stewart and Courtney Vandersloot as free agents. Then they traded for Jonquel Jones. On paper, it all looks legit, but some fans and other teams are crying foul, saying the Liberty are finding loopholes in the system. The reaction from fans has been pretty mixed. Liberty supporters are thrilled, of course. They've got a dream team and a championship to show for it. But fans of other teams, they're not happy. They're saying it's not fair that the Liberty are buying their way to success. Some are even calling for stricter enforcement of the salary cap rules. Here's the big question. What does this mean for the rest of the league? If one team can spend big and stack their roster, does that throw off the competitive balance? Some people are worried that we'll end up with a situation like in some other sports, where only a few rich teams have a real shot at winning. Speaking of other sports, let's compare the WNBA's salary cap to some other leagues. The NBA has a soft cap with all kinds of exceptions, which is why you see some teams spending way more than others. The NFL has a hard cap, which keeps things pretty even. The WNBA's system is somewhere in between, but with a much smaller budget overall. Wow, what a wild ride this WNBA Finals has been. From that crazy foul call to Cheryl Reeve's explosive comments, and don't forget the Liberty salary cap drama. It's like the league just can't catch a break. But you know what? All this controversy might just be growing pains for a league that's on the rise. So does all this drama take away from the Liberty's win? That's for you to decide. But here's the thing. Next year, we're getting a best-of-7 finals. That's huge. And with stars like Brianna Stewart saying New York's going to be bonkers, celebrating, you know the excitement's only going to grow. Look, the WNBA's got its issues, but it's also got incredible talent and passion. So why not tune in next season and see for yourself? Trust me, you won't want to miss what happens next.